Hollywood never forgives aging. It has absolutely no mercy for sickness. But on the 29th of April, 1991, the Dream Factory was forced to witness a scene so heartbreaking, it sucked the air right out of the street. This was not a ceremony. It was a goodbye. It was the final curtain call of a woman who was already halfway to the grave. Lee Remick, the woman once hailed as America's answer to Brigitte Bardot, the symbol of elegant, untouchable seduction, stepped out of the limousine. But the cameras didn't find the star they remembered. They found a ghost. Her face was swollen, distorted by steroids and chemotherapy. Her body, only 55 years old, was crumbling like an ancient building, collapsing from the inside out. But those eyes, those legendary, ice-blue eyes, were sunken deep into her skull, holding a terror that no scriptwriter could ever invent. Standing beside her was Jack Lemmon, her favorite co-star, her soulmate in art. He wasn't just standing there to smile for the press. He was holding her up. Literally, his hand gripped her arm with white-knuckled intensity, as if he knew that if he let go, Lee Remick would dissolve into ash right there on the pavement. When the cover was pulled off her terrazzo star, Lee forced her lips to curl upward, a radiant smile masking a body screaming in pain. Jack leaned into her ear, his voice cracking, whispering a line that wasn't in the press release. "I love you, kid." And Lee, summoning the last embers of her strength, whispered back, "I know." The crowd erupted in applause. They cheered, but beneath the clapping, you could hear it, the deafening tick-tock of a countdown. Less than 60 days after this moment, Lee Remick would vanish into the dark forever. This is not a fairy tale about a starlet. This is a chronicle of decay, of haunting roles that bled into reality, and the tragic phone call that ended it all. Born in the winter of 1935, Lee Remick seemed to have drawn the perfect hand, a wealthy father running a department store empire, an actress mother. She grew up as a little princess in Quincy, Massachusetts. But tragedy often plants its seeds in the most manicured gardens. When she was 7, Lee's world cracked down the middle. Her parents divorced. That little girl learned her first lesson in broken things. Nothing is permanent, not even blood. She moved to New York, and there, she learned to wear masks. She studied ballet, that brutal art form that demands absolute perfection while your toes bleed inside satin shoes. The first twist, the deception of innocence. By 16, the demon of performance took over. Lee Remick, America's good girl, pulled her first con. She lied about her age to secure a job at a ragged summer stock theater in Cape Cod. She threw herself into the work with a manic energy, 9 shows in 10 weeks. "I never felt tired," she later recalled. That wasn't just passion, that was escapism. She was running away from reality, hiding inside other people's skins. In 1957, the legendary director Elia Kazan saw her on a TV screen and was instantly hypnotized. He cast her as Betty Lou in A Face in the Crowd, a baton-twirling teenager. Innocent? Hardly. She played the role with a sexual calculation that was terrifying. She appeared briefly, but the damage was done. She acted as if she understood the filth of fame before she had even touched it. 1959. Fate dealt another card. Lana Turner, Hollywood's reigning glamour queen, was fired from Anatomy of a Murder over a wardrobe tantrum. Lee Remick stepped in to replace her. The role of Laura Manion was a slap in the face to 1952's American morality, an army wife who claims rape, yet lounges on a sofa in tight capri pants, dark sunglasses, purring at lawyers. Lee didn't play her as a victim. She played her as a sexual riddle. Audiences were confused. Men were obsessed. Critics were forced to bow down. She proved a dangerous truth. Innocence can be the deadliest weapon of all. If the 50 seconds were the prelude, the 60 seconds were when Lee Remick allowed the darkness to colonize her soul. In 1962, she reunited with Jack Lemmon for Days of Wine and Roses. This wasn't a movie. It was a slow-motion execution. Lee played Kirsten, a young woman dragged by her husband into the bottomless pit of alcoholism. Psychological twist. When the role consumes the actor. Lee stripped away the doll-like veneer. She transformed from a clear-eyed Yankee girl into a hollowed-out husk, rattling the bars of a sanitarium. There is a scene where she stares into a mirror, hung over, her face a mask of misery. She quips, "This is the way I look when I'm sober. It's enough to make a person drink." That wasn't just dialogue. That was the scream of a rotting spirit. The performance earned her an Oscar nomination, but it took something from her eyes that never quite returned. The scandal, the lover in the shadows. While her career soared, her personal life began to fracture. She built a facade of the perfect suburban mother for Life magazine, baking cakes in her kitchen, but it was a lie. By 1968, her marriage collapsed, and then the whispers started. A forbidden name, Robert F. Kennedy. Rumors swirled that Lee Remick was not just a supporter of the Democratic Party, but the secret paramour of Bobby Kennedy, the most powerful man in the shadows of America. It was never confirmed, but the silence was deafening. To be linked to the Kennedy dynasty, a family cursed by tragedy and blood, felt like an omen. Lee Remick was desired by the most powerful men on earth, yet she stood isolated in the center of her own spotlight, a woman close to the sun, waiting for her wings to melt. In 1970, Lee did what no Hollywood star does at the peak of their fame. She ran away. She remarried and fled to London. She wanted to escape the predatory lens of Los Angeles. She wanted peace by the River Thames. But ironically, in the gloom of England, she found her greatest success in the darkest of scripts. Twist 2, The Mother of the Beast. 1976. Lee Remick starred in The Omen, a horror bloodbath. She played Catherine Thorne, the mother who unwittingly nurtures the Antichrist. Why would a serious dramatic actress choose a horror movie? Perhaps Lee understood that fear is the most honest human emotion. Audiences watched in horror as she was attacked by baboons, as she was thrown from a balcony. The Omen became a phenomenon, and Lee became the beautiful face of high-class terror, dominating the small screen. When Hollywood began to whisper that she was getting too old, Lee turned to television and conquered it. She became the queen of the miniseries. But she didn't play happy housewives. She chose roles that were jagged, broken, and cruel. An aging prostitute in The Blue Night, a sociopathic socialite who manipulates her son into murder in Nutcracker, an adulterous killer in The Letter. She told the press, "I can play alcoholics, adulteresses, killers, all the juicy parts. Films don't write for women anymore." This was her rebellion, an artist refusing to be forgotten, refusing to be the good girl. She embraced the monsters. Spring 1989. Lee Remick was in France, filming. She felt a pain in her back, just a nagging ache. She thought it was fatigue. She thought it was age. Then came the phone call. The diagnosis was a death sentence delivered in a monotone voice. Cancer, kidney, and lungs. Stage 4. The metastasis had already begun. She was only 53. The false hope Lee fought the disease the way she fought for her roles, with quiet, Yankee grit. By 1990, the miracle happened. Remission, death seemed to blink and step back. With a cruel sense of optimism, Lee signed on for a stage role in Stephen Sondheim's A Little Night Music. She was desperate to stand on stage again, desperate to sing Send in the Clowns. The cruelest twist. Just as rehearsals were set to begin, her body collapsed. The cancer was back. It had moved to her liver, brutal, fast, merciless. Lee was forced to withdraw. Her final words to the director were a piece of agonizing irony. "Well, at least I know when to quit while I'm ahead." She wasn't ahead. She was being toyed with. In early 1991, she moved back to Los Angeles to die. No more running. She returned to the city that made her, to lay her head down on the soil of the industry that loved her and consumed her. After the Walk of Fame, there was one final party aboard the Queen Mary in May 1991. Gregory Peck stood up to toast her. The room dimmed, and a clip of a young, breathtaking Lee Remick from the film Jenny played on the screen. In the darkness of the banquet hall, the dying Lee Remick wept. She whispered to a friend, "I was beautiful then." Her friend held her frail hand and replied, "Lee, You still have those eyes. The 2nd of July 1991, the cancer finished its work. Lee Remick took her final breath at her home in Los Angeles. She stopped at 55, an age where a talent like hers should have been entering a second golden age. At her funeral, her 2 children stood up. They didn't speak. They sang. They sang "Anyone Can Whistle," the title song from their mother's favorite, failed Broadway musical. It was a final statement that perfection is meaningless, that the only thing that matters is the courage to whistle in the dark. Lee Remick spent a lifetime playing women torn between beauty and pain. In the end, her own life became her most tragic role. She arrived like a ballet dancer, and she left like a soldier falling on the battlefield of fame. Hollywood has thousands of stars on the sidewalk, but there was only one Lee Remick, the woman who smiled at the Reaper even as his hand closed around her throat. And those eyes, those haunting, oceanic eyes, are still staring at us from the other side of the silver screen.